So Cabinet today, which is their 30th meeting, this is the 30th meeting, and we want to always thank you for the support. We really do appreciate as we move together for the Vision 2030 of this country. So an update on the Zimbabwe's response to the COVID-19 outbreak. Cabinet received an update on the country's responses to the COVID-19 outbreak, and this was presented by the Minister of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, Honorable Mchinguri Kashiri, as Chairman of the Interministerial Task Force on the COVID-19 response. Cabinet hereby informs the nation that is at 6 September, which is yesterday, Zimbabwe's cumulative COVID-19 cases had increased to 125,550, with 117,036 recoveries and 4,493 deaths. The recovery rate was 93%, with 99% of COVID-19 cases being attributed to local transmission. The number of infections continued to fall during the week under review, with 1,113 cases recorded, reflecting a 38% decrease from the 1,785 which was reported last week. The trend in new COVID-19 cases for the week under review has been reported as follows. Manicaland had 213 new cases, Harare Metropolitan 180, Bulawayo Metropolitan 112, Mashonaland East 137, Masvingo 132, and Matabeleland North 96. Cabinet wishes to urge the nation to continue to exercise a high level of alertness and ensure that the COVID-19 third wave does not cause any further harm to health and business. It is encouraging to note that there has been a corresponding general decline in the number of persons in need of hospitalization for COVID-19 management, with the country's hospital bed occupants also decreasing from the previous 14.5% to 10% during the week under review. Cabinet is further informing the nation that during the week under review, 14 learners of the total of 299,689 enrolled in examination classes tested positive for COVID-19. A total of 19 teachers also tested positive, and Cabinet wishes to assure the nation that rapid response teams are ensuring that the standard operating guidelines for the coordinated prevention and management of COVID-19 are implemented. Finally, His Excellency, the President, Comrade E.G. Mnangagwa, has today announced a review of the COVID-19 lockdown measures, and all citizens should be guided accordingly. Highlights of the review are as follows. Curfew will now be starting at 2200 hours to 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Then the business will operate from 8 a.m. to 1900 hours. Restaurants and bars within hotels and lodges will operate between 8 a.m. and 2200 hours. Then bottle stores will open from 10 a.m. to 1600 hours. Beer outlets and nightclubs to remain closed. Public gatherings are allowed now, but not to exceed 100. Decongestion of offices shall be at 50%. Intercity now permitted in strict adherence to COVID-19 health measures. Low-risk sports to resume from 8 a.m. to 1600 hours. High and medium-risk sporting activities to seek approval. Persons entering the country should present a COVID-19 test valid less than 48 hours. And finally, lockdown relaxation to be reviewed in 2 weeks. Then we got an update on the procurement and rollout of COVID-19 vaccines. Cabinet received an update on the procurement and rollout of COVID-19 vaccines as presented by the Vice President and Minister of Health and Childcare, Honorable CGD N. Chiwenga. As the vaccination program continues to gather momentum, Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that as of 6 September 2021, which is yesterday, a total of 2,729,955 persons had received the first dose, while 1,728,797 had received their second dose vaccine. This is across the country. These figures translate to a national coverage of 31.9% for the first dose and 20.2% for the second dose. As usual, vaccination in border towns and people's markets is ongoing. Then Cabinet received a priority projects for the 8th 100-day cycle of the Second Republic. Cabinet considered and approved priority projects for the 8th 100-day cycle of the Second Republic as presented by the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs and Monitoring Implementation of Government Programs in the President's Office, Honorable Joram Gumbo. A total of 116 projects were submitted for implementation under the 8th 100-day cycle, which commenced on 2nd August 2021 and will end on 10 November 2021. Minister Gumbo indicated that the priority projects were selected on the basis of set criteria and should contribute to the attainment of the National Development Strategy 1 and have an impact on the livelihoods of the citizenry. The selected projects are citizen-centric, they are of high impact and can be implemented rapidly, and resources are readily available. The projects are drawn from ministerial annual plans and they are linked to the whole of government performance management system. Of the 116 projects that were submitted, 71% of the projects are ongoing, while 29% are new. The projects were clustered according to the 14 thematic areas of NDS1, and these are the 14 criteria. Thematic areas: 1, digital economy; 2, youth, sport and culture; 3, economic growth and stability; 4, image building and international re-engagement; then 5, devolution; 6, social protection; 7, human capital development; 8, health and well-being; 9, housing delivery; 10, environmental protection, climate resilience and natural resources management; then 11, governance; 12, moving the economy up the value chain and structural transformation; then 13, infrastructure and utilities; then 14, food and nutrition security. This makes the total of 116 projects for this. Then we moved on to principles for the proposed amendment to the Rural Electrification Act, Chapter 13.20. Cabinet received and approved the principles to amend the Rural Electrification Act, Chapter 13.20, as was presented by the Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Jemu Soda. Cabinet wishes to inform the public that the Rural Electrification Act is being amended to align it to best practice. The amendments will seek, among other provisions, to provide for A, expanding the mandate of the fund to include diverse sources of energy; then B, giving the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, legal recognition as the implementing arm of the fund; C, rationalizing the composition and functions of the board; and D, allowing REA to implement its projects and reduce on contracting out. Under the amended Act, the number of civil servants who sit on REA board will be reduced in conformity with the provisions of good corporate governance as contained in the Public Entities Corporate Governance Act, Chapter 10.31, and there will be gender parity in the membership of the board. The amendments will also provide for the appointment of the Chief Executive Officer and for the renaming of Rural Electrification Agency to Rural Energy Agency. Then we moved on to Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan. Cabinet approved the Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan as presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Resettlement, Honorable Dr. Anxious Masuka. The nation is informed that the Tobacco Value Chain Transformation Plan aims at transforming the tobacco value chain into a US $5 billion industry by 2025 through localization of tobacco financing, increased production and productivity, value addition and beneficiation and exports of cigarettes. The initiatives should contribute significantly to gross domestic product growth, foreign currency generation, and employment creation, thereby raising household incomes in pursuit of Vision 2030. The strategic objectives of the plan are as follows. A, to localize the funding of tobacco to complement external funders. B, to raise tobacco production and productivity from 262 million kilograms to 300 million kilograms by 2025. C, to diversify and increase the production of alternative crops such as medicinal cannabis and increase their contribution to the farmer's income to 25% by 2025. And D, to increase the level of value addition and beneficiation of tobacco from 2% of total tobacco produced to 30% in order to increase exports of cigarettes. E, to create an enabling environment that incentivizes investors to set up shop in the country instead of exporting raw or semi-processed tobacco. The immediate objective is to increase tobacco production and productivity through increasing the yield per unit, increasing area under crop, and minimizing losses. The above measures are being taken because the country is not getting maximum benefit from its tobacco crop in terms of value addition and beneficiation. Cabinet further wishes to inform the public that Tobacco Research Board is already conducting research on alternative crops such as chia, industrial hemp, and sesame, as well as other types of tobacco such as shisha, which is very popular in the Middle East. Research is also being conducted into the extraction of high-value compounds from tobacco, such as nicotine, solanesol, and edible oil. Preliminary studies have already been done on the extraction of tobacco edible oil and identified varieties that could be used for oil extraction. All these efforts are meant to increase the income that accrues directly to the farmers. Then we moved on to an update on the winter wheat production program and the maize and cotton marketing season. Cabinet received an update on the country's winter wheat production program and the maize and cotton marketing season as presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Settlement. Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that the winter wheat crop is generally good across all provinces, and the major activities on the farms include spraying of chemicals for pest control, top dressing, and routine irrigation. There is adequate water in the dams for crop irrigation. Early planted wheat is now at hard-off stage in most provinces. The producer price will be announced in due course. From the 66,435 hectares planted under the presidential NIPS, which is Command CBZ Agro-Yield and private sector schemes, at a yield level of 4.5 tons per hectare, the country expects to get 298,961 metric tons against the national requirement of 360,000 metric tons. GMB has commenced preparations for winter intake and has designated 18 intake depots in that regard. The allocation of combined harvesters and transporters is being finalized by AFC and GMB. Harvesting of the early planted wheat is expected to start from mid-September onwards, and fuel for the contracted farmers is being made available on time. Then on the issue of quillia bed menace, which remains a major threat in all provinces, farmers are accessing bed shield chemicals from GMB. The use of drones to complement knapsack spraying has been adopted to improve efficiency and reduce cost as efforts to save the crop from the migratory birds continue. Cabinet has also approved that a migratory pest control unit be established as a department in the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Settlement. This is to ensure surveillance of all important pests like quillia, locust and armyworm. Also train farmers on surveillance, react to outbreaks timely, coordinate stakeholder efforts and mobilize resources for adequate and effective responses. Current wheat stocks are sufficient until the next harvest, which is expected from mid-September, as I said. With regard to the 2021-2022 grain marketing season, which commenced on 1st April 2021, Cabinet wishes to inform the nation that positive developments are continuing. Selected GMB depots have now introduced 24-hour shifts to accelerate grain intake and reduce the waiting time for farmers. Collections are being ramped up in all areas of high grain output. Mashonaland West Province has the highest maize and soybean intake, while Mashonaland Central has the highest traditional grains intake. On another positive note, traditional grains production has improved tremendously. The current sorghum intake of 85,000 metric tons has exceeded the highest ever tonnage since independence, which was 82,030 metric tons delivered in the 1985-86 marketing season. Deliveries of the cereal as of 5 September stood at 89,537 metric tons. Efforts to curtail side marketing are continuing, and a total of 3,258 metric tons of maize has been seized from 241 individuals who have been breaking the statutory instrument 145 of 2019, while 1,489 metric tons of soybean have been seized from 62 individuals for breaking statutory instrument 79 of 2011. Then on tobacco, Cabinet noted with satisfaction that nearly 67,025 farmers have registered for 2021-22 tobacco season, compared to the 57,252 farmers who had registered at the same time last year, reflecting a 17% increase. As of 31st August 2021, cumulative sales were 208 million kgs, with prices being 12% firmer than last year, and this was due to improved quality offerings by the farmers. These deliveries have already surpassed the 184 million kilograms received last year, and this is an increase of 13.5%. The value of the tobacco deliveries is also 28% higher than last year. As part of the localization of the financing of tobacco, the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board, TIMB, is contracting 50,000 hectares, up from the 12,000 hectares which they contracted last year. This is estimated to cost US $60 million and will be financed by local banks, including AFC, the Agricultural Finance Company. Then we moved on to a report on the registration of previously undocumented citizens. Pursuant to a recent cabinet decision on ensuring the previously undocumented citizens among the San community, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage was directed by the President to go and engage the community in traditional leadership on this issue. Minister Kazembe updated Cabinet on the outcome of his recent visit to Cholocho as follows. A, there are about 3,000 San people in Cholocho area. B, 3,000, those who are unregistered will be registered without any hassles. Then C, the registration process will commence on Monday the 14th of September. And D, the chiefs in that area will assist in the registration process and nobody should be turned away. I thank you for listening. It brings us to the end of our cabinet brief.